Welcome to NFL Nexus. You know, what happens when a rookie, a guy nobody really saw coming, just completely shatters every single expectation? Well, for the Indianapolis Colts, it's this weird mix of a dream come true and a total financial nightmare that's just waiting around the corner. So today we're going to dive deep into the huge crossroads facing the Colts in 2026, where the rise of this new, unexpected superstar has set off a chain reaction that could honestly reshape their entire franchise. This isn't just about a good player. This is a story about the really high price of success in the NFL and the absolutely brutal decisions that always come with it.
All right, so how in the world did the Colts get to this point, this high-stakes moment? We're going to break it all down for you, step by step. First, we have to introduce you to Indy's new superstar, a rookie who pretty much came out of nowhere to just take over. Then we'll get into the high cost of that talent, the salary cap squeeze that's really putting the team in a bind. After that, we're going to look at the tough choices that have to be made, and that includes a pretty painful potential exit for a former first-round pick. And finally, we'll wrap it all up and look at this franchise at a crossroads, with one man standing right in the middle of this whole storm.
You know, every NFL season has its share of breakout stars, but what the Colts got from rookie tight end Tyler Warren in 2025, man, that was something else entirely. This wasn't just a good-for-a-rookie kind of year. This was a performance that can change a franchise, and it came from a player who was barely a blip on anyone's radar. Warren's sudden and explosive arrival is really the spark that lit the fuse on this whole situation. It's a great feel-good story, for sure, but one with some very complicated financial strings attached. And that's where our story really begins.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Even the pros, the guys who get paid to analyze these players, were completely caught off guard. I love this quote from Gennaro Felice over at NFL.com because it just perfectly captures how much Warren blew past expectations. And that term he uses, superflex game, that is the absolute key to this whole thing. See, at Penn State, Warren was this jack of all trades, a human Swiss Army knife that defenses just couldn't solve. But the big question, the one every scout had, was, okay, can that versatile, almost gimmicky college style actually work against the speed and the power of the NFL? Well, the answer turned out to be a loud, resounding yes, and it left a lot of really smart football people, like Felice, just kind of shaking their head.
Okay, let's get into the numbers, because this is where you can really see just how dominant Warren was. And I need to be crystal clear here. We are not talking about his rankings among other rookies. No. These are his rankings among all tight ends in the entire league. 6th in catches, 5th in yards, 4th in first downs. I mean, those are elite numbers for a 10-year veteran, let alone a rookie. But the stat that really jumps off the page, the one that tells the whole story, is yards after catch, or YAC. He was 2nd in the entire NFL. YAC tells you what a player does after the ball is in his hands. It's the difference between a simple 5-yard catch and a 15-yard tackle-breaking monster play. It means he wasn't just a passenger. He was creating huge plays all by himself.
And if you're still not convinced of his impact, how about this? Tyler Warren had the single greatest season for a rookie pass catcher in the entire history of the Indianapolis Colts. He didn't just break the record for receptions, he completely shattered it. And what's even crazier is that the record he broke was set just 1 year before by his teammate Josh Downs. Think about that. That means the Colts have struck gold in back-to-back drafts, finding 2 instant impact record-setting offensive weapons. Now, on the surface, that's a fantastic problem for a GM to have. But as we're about to find out, it's also a very expensive one.
So, what exactly is a superflex player? Okay, think of it this way. Warren is the ultimate wild card on offense. He's like the queen on the chessboard. He can line up anywhere, do pretty much anything, and just create absolute chaos for the defense. A defensive coordinator's whole job is to match personnel. So if they see Warren line up, what do? Do they put a big physical linebacker on him? Well, Warren's too fast. He'll just burn him down the seam. Okay, so maybe you counter with a smaller, quicker defensive back? Nope, Warren is too big and we'll just bully him for the ball. He is a walking, talking mismatch, and that's what makes him so unbelievably valuable. He forces defenses into impossible choices, and no matter what they choose, it's probably the wrong answer.
And here is the hard data to prove it. This breakdown from Pro Football Focus shows you just how much the Colts moved Warren all over the formation. I mean, just look at this distribution. He took almost 500 snaps as a traditional hand-in-the-dirt tight end, where he's supposed to be blocking 300-pound defensive ends. Then they moved him into the slot for over 270 snaps, where he's basically a giant receiver running routes against cornerbacks. They split him out wide for another 100 snaps. And they even stuck him in the backfield as a lead blocker on 63 plays. Oh, and just for fun, they let him play quarterback for a few snaps just to mess with the defense's head.
This isn't a gimmick. This is a core part of their entire offensive identity. And it's all possible because of Warren's incredible, one-of-a-kind versatility.
But here's the catch. In the NFL, success is always a double-edged sword. The single greatest advantage a team can possibly have is an elite player on a rookie contract. You get premium production, but you're paying pennies on the dollar for it. The problem is, that advantage has a 4-year expiration date. For every rookie sensation on a cheap deal, there's a veteran star on that same team who's about to cash in. And for the Colts, that clock is ticking, and it is ticking loudly. The financial reality of the salary cap is about to come crashing down, and it's going to force some very, very tough choices.
And the very first domino that needs to be addressed is wide receiver Alec Pierce. He's not just some other good player, he's a true game changer, and his contract is up. His specialty? The deep ball. Pierce has that rare, elite speed that lets him just run past any defender and take the top off a defense. In today's NFL, which is all about explosive plays, a guy like that is worth his weight in gold. A true deep threat changes the math for a defense. They have to keep their safeties deep, which opens up running lanes and creates space underneath for other guys, like Tyler Warren. See, he doesn't just produce on his own, he makes the entire offense better. And now, well, it's payday.
So just how valuable has Pierce become? Well, just look at the raw numbers from this past season. Not only did he break that coveted 1,000-yard mark, but he did it while outproducing the team's other star receiver, Michael Pittman Jr., by more than 200 yards. And get this, he put up those better numbers even though he played in 2 fewer games because of an injury. Now that's not a knock on Pittman, who's a fantastic possession receiver and is already paid like one. It's just a testament to how dominant and efficient Pierce has become as the team's #1 big play weapon. And you can bet that when it comes time to negotiate that new contract, these are the numbers his agent is going to have on page 1, highlighted and circled.
And this is where it gets incredibly complicated. The Colts can't just write Alec Pierce a blank check. I mean, the team's financial situation is a total tangled web. First off, they've already given a massive $70 million contract to Michael Pittman Jr., which sits a really high bar in their own locker room. Second, and this is the big one, they have to figure out a new contract for their quarterback, Daniel Jones. In the NFL, the QB is always priority #1 and always gets the biggest slice of the pie. And third, Pierce's specific elite skill, leading the entire NFL in yards per reception for 2 years in a row, means that if he even sniffs the open market, there's going to be a massive bidding war for him. The Colts are in a really tough spot, and there is no easy way out.
So how much money do the Colts actually have to work with to solve all these problems? About $33 million in projected cap space. Now, to you and me, that sounds like a fortune. But in the world of the NFL salary cap, which is a hard limit on what a team can spend on its players, it's really not that much. It's middle of the pack, at best. Once you factor in a new contract for your quarterback that could cost, say, $40 million a year, and a big extension for a star receiver that might top $20 million, plus the money you need to sign your new draft picks, well, that $33 million starts to look impossibly small. It's a real tight squeeze, and it guarantees some tough decisions are coming.
It is the classic NFL dilemma. The salary cap is a zero-sum game. There are no loopholes. Every single dollar you commit to your offense is a dollar you cannot spend on your defense. It is that simple. So when you're getting ready to hand out massive, market-setting contracts to your quarterback and your top receiver, a painful question always follows. Who gets left out in the cold? It's a question every successful team has to answer eventually, and for the Colts, the answer might be a little surprising and probably a little disappointing for their fans.
So it looks like the first casualty of the Colts' salary cap crunch is probably going to be a very familiar face on that defensive line. We're talking about a former first-round draft pick, a guy who is supposed to be a cornerstone for their defense for the next decade. This is where that feel-good story about finding a new star kind of turns, and we get to see the brutal, unsentimental business side of the NFL. This is where tough and often unpopular decisions have to be made.
The player we're talking about is defensive end Kwity Paye. Back in the 2021 draft, the Colts used a premium first-round pick on Paye, hoping he'd become their next great pass rusher. But now, just 4 years later, as his rookie contract runs out, all the signs are pointing to his time in Indianapolis coming to an end. Letting a first-round pick just leave in free agency without a second contract, that's a tough look for any team. It's a quiet admission that the pick didn't fully work out, a sunk cost that you just have to walk away from. It basically means the player didn't live up to the hype and the high price of where he was drafted.
So what happened? Well, this chart right here tells you everything you need to know. It's all about performance and maybe more importantly, timing. In the 2 seasons leading up to his all-important contract year, Paye was a solid, productive player, averaging over 8 sacks a year. But in 2025, with millions of dollars and a huge new contract on the line, his sack production was cut in half, dropping all the way to just 4. For a player, you could not have picked a worse time to have a down year. It's a personal nightmare. But for the team's front office, it makes their decision brutally simple. They can now take the money they would have paid Paye and use it to solve their problems on offense.
Kwity Paye's story becomes this perfect, if painful, example of the brutal reality of the NFL salary cap. He's not a bad player. In fact, he'll probably sign a nice, multi-year deal with another team this offseason. But for the Colts, it's just a matter of math. It's cold, hard resource allocation. They can't afford to pay everybody, and the 8-figure salary that would have gone to Paye is now critically needed to keep their high-powered offense together. It's a tough business, and it's a reminder that you can't get emotionally attached, because in the NFL, you just can't keep everyone.
So you have a rookie sensation changing your entire offensive identity. You have a homegrown star receiver who needs a massive new contract. And you have a former first-round pick on his way out the door. It's an incredibly high-stakes balancing act, a fragile ecosystem of talent and money. The fate of the entire franchise is now resting on the shoulders of one person who has to make all of these moving parts work together. The decisions he makes in the next few months will have a ripple effect for years and years to come.
And that man is General Manager Chris Ballard. Now, Ballard has a reputation around the league as one of its sharpest talent evaluators and best drafters. I mean, he's the guy who finds gems like Tyler Warren. But this specific offseason, with all of these competing factors at play, this is going to be his biggest test yet. This is his defining challenge. The choices he makes now will determine whether the Colts can take that next big step and become a true Super Bowl contender, or if they'll just be stuck on the treadmill of mediocrity. The pressure is on, and the entire league is watching.
This slide right here perfectly captures the impossible dilemma that Ballard is facing. It's a total tug-of-war of competing philosophies. At his core, he is a draft-and-develop guy who believes in rewarding his own homegrown players, like Alec Pierce. But at the same time, he's got to pay market price for veterans like Daniel Jones. And complicating everything is a brand new factor. The team's new owner, Carly Gordon, has publicly said she wants the team to be more aggressive in free agency to bring in more outside talent. This goes directly against Ballard's historically conservative approach. It's a classic case of an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object, and something has to give.
This is the tightrope that every single NFL general manager has to walk. It's the fundamental challenge of modern team building. You have to win now. You have to capitalize on your current window of talent. But you cannot sacrifice the future by handing out bad contracts that will cripple your salary cap for years to come. You want to reward the stars who got you here, but you can't overpay and compromise your ability to build a complete, deep roster. For Chris Ballard and the Colts, it's a high-wire act with no safety net. One wrong move, one bad contract, and the whole thing could come crashing down.
So, there you have it. The Indianapolis Colts are at a true crossroads. They have the league's greatest asset in a superstar on a rookie contract, but they also have a ticking clock on some massive contracts for their veteran stars and a GM who has to make the toughest, most consequential decisions of his entire career. Can they thread the needle, manage the money, and build a legitimate champion? Or will the high price of success just prove to be too much to overcome? It's easily the most fascinating question in the AFC. What do you think they should do? Should they pay Alec Pierce, or should they let him test the market? Let me know your game plan in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this explainer and want more deep dives into the biggest stories around the league, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to NFL Nexus. We'd also love it if you help support the channel by checking out our coloring books. They're perfect for kids, grandkids, or even for adults. You can find them using the QR code on the screen or through the link in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.